You've been to the French Open final. Your breakthrough, at least standout result at the beginning of your career, was on grass against Venus. You've been very solid on the hard courts. Is there a slam in particular that you go, I think that's, if I'm going to get one, the first one might come here, there, or where?
Well, I don't know. I mean, everyone, I'm like, I think this is the first one, so I don't know. I mean, obviously now going to the French, I do have a lot of confidence on the surface, but I'm not really thinking about that. I feel like, in the past I was, and it gave me some, like, defeats that I feel like I shouldn't have lost, maybe more so my head. So going in now, I mean, I feel like, everyone could be the one, but I think I have to just take it a match at a time and just feel it out and enjoy it. I think when you focus too much on the destination, you don't enjoy the journey there. So now I want to focus more on the journey, and if the destination gets there, that's great.
Okay, ready?
Hola a todos, estoy aquí para comunicaros que
My name is Clara Towson, and I'm a friend of the show.
Boom.
I am Francisca George, and I'm a friend of the show.
Perfect.
Hi, my name is Susan Leemans, and I'm a friend of the show.
My name is Zainab Samas, and I'm a friend of the show.
Boom.
Hey guys, my name is Sasha Vickery, and I'm a friend of the show.
Boom.
Hi, my name is Lloyd Harris, and I'm a friend of the show.
Perfect.
Hi, my name is Jasmine Paolini, and I'm a friend of the show.
Wow, Jasmine, you got it in one time.
Hi, my name is Jaime Faria, and I'm a friend of the show.
Boom.
Yes.
Take one. Well done.
Ready? Play.
Jasmine Paolini, friend of the show, will play for her spot in the semifinals tomorrow. Today we have a very different lineup in store, although we might have a similar situation in this group if Iga Świątek wins this match, and then Coco Gauff and, of course, Barbora Krejcikova would be playing for the final, for the second spot in the semis from this group. Hello, Vansh. Have you voted already?
I have voted, yes. I have voted by mail as of last week, and the elections are coming up. So, yeah, please vote if you haven't already and you're from the US. And yeah.
My interest in this election is strictly personal because I have a bet on one of the presidential candidates. I'm not going to say who, but yes, keep voting and we'll see. Maybe I'll be a rich man. I won't be a rich man, actually. It's not that sort of stakes, but I have this fun idea where, because it was me and two of my friends who also have the same bet. So basically, if that candidate will win, we are going to have like one of these friends lives quite far away from here, so basically we would go there in December and we would have like an American themed party for the money that we won. Or if we lose, well, unfortunately. Otherwise, yeah, I don't really have that much of an interest in that. Of course, I wasn't able to vote, although I have majored in American studies, so obviously my experience and my knowledge of American politics is vast. Anyway, it's not as vast as my knowledge of the Coco Gauff Iga Świątek matchup, which we're going to be watching today. And yes, Vansh, it's 1-11. Does Coco have a shot today?
I think based on these conditions and based on the way Iga started her match against Krejcikova for the first set and a half, I think if there's going to be any chance for Coco in terms of, the right set of conditions, the right kind of some things coming together for her, I think this could be the one. I am actually more excited about this matchup than I have been previously, because just when they played in Rome and they played in Roland Garros, we were kind of like looking for different things Coco could maybe do to like disrupt the current patterns. But I feel like here, if she can just play kind of the way that she's been playing, limit the double faults, keep on going after the forehand the way she sort of has been the last couple of tournaments in the Asian swing, I kind of think she can make it really, really close. And it wouldn't even shock me if she won for the second time.
Yeah, to be honest with you, obviously that's like kind of the reasonable take. Then again, when I was watching Krejcikova against Świątek, I still had the feeling that like if Iga is struggling, it's not because it's Krejcikova like piling on the pressure and really making her struggle for balls in that forehand corner. Like it still felt like the court is okay, it's quick, but it's not necessarily quick enough where Iga still doesn't have all the time she wants really to dictate and to really get into her rhythm, which eventually she did, of course. She was very calm and collected. And that kind of makes me think, I'm not sure. I think some of these improvements and adjustments that you were talking about, I remember thinking about them sort of during the clay matches that they had, where, of course, Coco never managed to really trouble Iga. All the 11 wins for the Pole so far in the rivalry have been straight sets. And I don't know. I don't really see it today. But that's a new thing. That like 2 days ago, I would have said something completely different. I guess it was just like after watching Krejcikova against Świątek where I felt like, okay, so Iga will still have enough time here. She will still probably be able to do what she always does in this matchup, really. But obviously, this is just her second match since the US Open, so it's not like it's a given. And certainly up until 4-6, 0-3 in that first fixture, she was, as rusty as Rybakina.
Yeah, for sure. I also thought like it was just a tale of two matches, because the first set and a half, I feel like Krejcikova was playing good, but wasn't having to play that spectacularly because Swiatek's rhythm on the forehand was just way off. But once she sort of found that, and then once I think she started serving a little bit better, and Krejcikova's game tailed off, it seemed like okay, like she kind of worked her way into the tournament. It was important to get the win. What did you make of her serve? Because she hit 10 aces, which is one of the career highs for her.
Yeah, I mean, everybody is going to be succeeding on serve more indoors in these conditions. I think Iga was one of them, although she still, of course, got broken many, many times. But the ace potential, yes, was higher than some other matches. I think it's way too early to talk about it being like some sort of new thing or whatever.
Yeah.
I mean, we're still watching her indoors for the first time since when? I mean, okay, yeah, the Asian King Cup, I guess, but other than that, what, Ostrava 2022 would have been her last indoor appearance, I'm guessing here. But
probably Fort
I guess,
Worth, right? Yeah, Fort Worth.
Yeah, Ostrava and Fort Worth, yeah, sure. Late 2022. So, yeah, I think all the competitors here will enjoy a slight boost on serve, and she's not an exception here. As to the questions you guys have, I mean, Keen, I think obviously I've never watched Spaldanius. I've heard that he's doing pretty well in like juniors, but not even ITF juniors, but I don't know, like Tennis Europe he was great in or something like that. But yeah, I've never watched the guy, so can't really tell you. And thoughts on the low attendance? We were expecting that, yeah, as Keen says, right? I think even the WTA has released this statement where they say like they were expecting lower attendance on weekdays, which is obvious, but it's still not a big venue. Like it's not really all that tough to fill it, and it is actually for them 400. I think maybe it was on one of the other days. I think by the weekend it should be a good crowd like it was on Saturday. But yeah, these weekdays look like they will be pretty tricky. But it's something that they had to know about going into Saudi Arabia. It's obviously not a deal based on where tennis is at its most popular or where tennis will bring in most spectators. It's a deal strictly based on money.
Yeah, for sure. Obviously, we know that women are very much like second-class citizens in Saudi, and obviously that's a little harder for them to show up just in general to support women's sport. But I do remember it being low in Fort Worth in the beginning, and then picking up over the weekend.
Fort Worth was just under promoted, right?
Yeah.
We don't really know how it's doing in Riyadh. I think better, because on Saturday you had such huge crowds. You had all the people coming out to meet Ons as well. So yeah, the issues are different here than they were in Fort Worth. Well, the first game goes to Swiatek. There was that nice backhand winner from Gauff of the return. By the way, Coco, of course, has also started a partnership with a new coach recently, and in fact, it's been going on for longer than Iga's, or at least going on for maybe like a similar time, but just more tournaments, more matches. And she obviously won Beijing. She made the semis in Wuhan. Now she also defeated Pegula in the first tie here, or however you want to call it. So any sort of reason to be excited for her going forward because of that?
I mean the results were quite good when she won Beijing, and sort of even though she double faulted 21 times against Sabalenka in that semifinal, I think most people actually walked away feeling like, wow, she was so good off the ground, and like she was actually very imposing, and like she definitely could have won that match if it weren't for let's say like 20 of those. But yeah, no, I mean, I think the change seemed to be bubbling for a while. I remember you and I talked about it in the summer that like if the US Open doesn't go well, that's definitely going to happen. And well, I think most people kind of were curious to see what that new change and fresh voice could do for her. And we learned also that about the grip MD part of it, which means that maybe there was a slight altercation, not like something really massive in terms of her grip change, but maybe like a slight little tweak that's maybe making it a little bit easier for her to hit out on the forehand a little bit more. We don't know. I mean, I'm not really like looking that closely for that kind of tactical change, but she seems to be just in better. Like off the ground, she seems to be a lot better than she was like during the summer. And then the serve, obviously, it's all about keeping the double fault slow. But apart from that, she can just sort of use her athleticism and natural gifts and like the intangibles, if you may, and then she can win a lot of matches like that.
Yeah, I mean, definitely seems like something like this was in order. I think even before she hired Brad Gilbert, we were just saying that like when she's looking for a new coach, she has to look for someone who has an idea for what to do with her for her going forwards. As you said, I'm also not like looking at it like that closely, but that guy seems to have a lot of experience with things like that, obviously. And yeah, so far the results are very, very promising. Maybe this will be the thing, or like maybe this will be the case with every single new coach that Coco hires. Maybe she's that kind of player who like new coach, great results. But yeah, I mean, we'll just have to see on a larger sample. Of course, this is the last event really of 2024, not counting the Pigeon King Cup finals. So, and I don't think is she playing that?
No, she's not. No,
Yeah,
Pegula and Gauff are both not playing yet.
Pegula as well. Okay. Yeah.
Pegula, by the way, has looked really off the last couple of matches, huh? Like just
Jessica Pegula indoor drawback. I don't know. Like again, right?
Yeah, but it's not just the indoor part. She just looked very, very like low on energy, just sort of very, very flat, like not really having a solution or any ideas. Very kind of very strange. Like I mean, definitely Gauff played well in the first match, but she was helped a lot. Like it wasn't, she didn't have to play anything really amazing. Same thing with Krejcikova today. Like I just didn't feel like they were even pushed to that degree like you would have maybe thought going in. Because Pegula was one of those players kind of in between. Like she didn't have the form, but she also like played those tournaments, won a couple of matches in both of them. Like I was just maybe I was wrong to expect a little bit more given her indoors record. But then again, I saw that she played a really good US Open final and I thought the conditions are quicker. Like yeah, she just looked very out of it.
Yeah, to me, there's never been like an actual, huge reason for Pegula to suck indoors. Like with how flat her ground strokes are, how they pierce through the court, she should be doing fine in these conditions. We can't really put it down to like some sort of WTA Finals thing where she comes in and she's a bit nervous because obviously she made the final last year and won a tough group with Sabalenka and Rybakina. So yeah, I mean, it's kind of inexplainable to me, but now she's also out of the tournament, just like Rybakina, by the second day already. And of course, Gauff, Krejcikova, Swiatek still all in play. And by the way, for number one scenarios, I mean, pretty much all you have to remember is that if Iga Swiatek loses a match from here or Aryna Sabalenka wins a match from here, the number one is going to go to Aryna Sabalenka. Basically, Swiatek has no way of stopping her at this point, I think, because it's basically impossible. I mean, it's impossible for them to play in the semis with Aryna not winning the third match, I think. So, or rather, Swiatek losing the third match, or either way, basically. It's just, yeah, she has to win everything from here and hope that Aryna loses twice now, which likely won't be that it won't be that likely, but all she can do is basically beat Coco Gauff today, beat Jessica Pegula on Thursday, and hope.
Yeah. Yeah. Again, I'm munching on these on my breakfast, which are these like overnight oats. I just put like oats in a mason jar. I put like some fruits, some protein powder, some cocoa powder. I just like it's like usually my go-to sort of breakfast. It's how I get my protein in.
Yeah, sorry if you can hear that. I mean, we have some renovation in the block of flats. I think it's actually on the first floor, which is shocking because I can hear it on the 7th. And I was not expecting that, but basically not much that I can do about it, I think. How would a lower ranked Polish player be able to afford Żuk as a coach? I mean, is Żuk some sort of like a renowned coach at this stage? Not really. I think Martin, because I think it's going to be Pavelski, he still has a lot of sponsorships. So that's going to be fine. Talking about Wawrinka as well, Brazy being down a set and a break to Laszlo Djere. That's a big opportunity missed if he loses that match, because next up is Duja Ajdukovic in the second round, of course, now after the Minor withdrew. And yes, Keen, I mean, Monteiro's returning looks like this every single time. Indoor hard courts, basically almost always outside of clay as well. So not too big a surprise there, I guess. Gauff survived that first game. There was a double fault, but it was not that scary. Like most of the time, she was still in the rally. She was still holding up, and now maybe she will have some slight opportunity of her own. As John probably told you or like wrote here earlier, I will be here for like about an hour and 15 minutes maybe. So after that, it will be Vansh with somebody. But don't worry, the match will be covered in full on the channel.
Yeah, a little bit of a trouble for Iga here down love 30.
Gonna see a lot of these forehand cross-court rallies, both players having similar issues on that side, but definitely like a bit of a different offensive potential. And well, who wins a lot of these rallies will actually have a very good chance to claim this match on the back of it as well.
Yes, indeed. Iga coming up with a bigger serve there, love 30. Yeah. Now they're going cross court on the forehand, trading. And yeah, this time Iga comes out on top.
I think most of them now shake hands, but you will definitely find somebody who still doesn't. But a lot of them have shaken hands with Russians in the past. Shook hands, I should have said, actually. That was a cross-court rally that Iga is unable to keep herself within the lines in.
Yeah,
that back
Coco was a little more offensive there, right from the return, and applied a little bit of pressure. So
that's somewhat promising for the American, definitely. I still feel like you don't watch this match and think, okay, so this is like Cincinnati or whatever. Like it's not playing like this. Maybe the bounce, it's just a little bit higher, a little bit easier for the pole to handle. So I think she will have plenty of time in this match to kind of recover from points like this. But obviously, if Gauff can keep piling up the pressure.
Yeah, I think the offensive potential is still going to be there. She still will have a little more time than, let's say, Cincinnati, just because the court is taking the spin really well, generally, I find this week. Maybe it's also the altitude as well, like higher bouncing and stuff.
I think so, yeah.
So, like, the kick serve is going to be somewhat effective. I'm thinking of that kick serve that Swiatek hit down 1-3, 30-40 against Krejcikova and then went backhand line immediately after. And kind of changed the whole match.
Yeah, it kind of gets forgotten now because, she was 4-6 love free and that double break, and that looks maybe even a bit more scary than 1-3, 30-40. But I mean, she easily could have been 1-4 down in that second set, again 2 breaks.
This time, Coco really flattening out that backhand down the line, which is one of her best shots. And she does get the error a bit more proactive in that one.
That's a rally where like Gauff was standing still in that back corner of the court and just spreading it, and that should be good for her whenever that happens, obviously.
Yeah.
It is one of the best shots in the game after all.
By the way, is Casper Ruud playing Mets? I saw that Devin Orr pulled out, but
I mean, still in the draw, still hasn't pulled out.
Yeah.
Andrei Rublev is playing Mets. I don't know what I mean. I don't know. I mean, if I were these guys, like Rublev making the quarters now in Mets, I don't know. I'm pulling out at some point, right? I don't think he can go all the way and hope to do well at the ATP Finals. I don't think that's really a possibility.
Yeah, I guess Casper Ruud is used to doing that thing where he plays like Geneva before Roland Garros, and then like.
I mean, Andrei is also one of these players who like constantly overplay, right? So
Yeah.
I guess it's fitting for both of them, but I don't know. I just feel like they should be pulling out any moment they can now and get to Turin.
Yeah. At least we got the Djokovic announcement now. Like if you waited till like Wednesday, Thursday, then these guys kind of wouldn't have,
Yeah, I think it was the ATP Weekly I did with Jack on Sunday, where we basically said, I mean, Djokovic, if you're pulling out, announce it now, because otherwise you're just leading to a pretty sticky situation for all the other players. And, well, for the events, maybe it would have been better for Belgrade and Metz if these guys stayed in.
Yeah. Well, good for Demonor to qualify for the first time, because he's made a ton of improvements this year, and Kennedy was really awesome until Wimbledon quarterfinal injury, and has still been winning a lot of matches since then. But
yeah, I think the key factor is that after Wimbledon, he still found a way to like make the quarterfinals at the US Open despite being far from his best. So he was still piling up points despite looking like very far from his first half of the season disposition. He's still doing better than Ruud and Rublev right now, that's for sure.
Yeah.
Although it is looking like let's say three main favorites in the field, and after that it's a bit of a mess. Maybe Medvedev if his shoulder is better, maybe Fritz if he kind of does it 2022 style, but yeah, I think the WTA Finals is structured a bit differently. You have like one big favorite here, but after that it's just a Wild West. And so far, Pegula definitely on the disappointing side. So is Rybakina, but I guess with her we had more reason to expect it.
Yeah. Well, third breakpoint opportunity for Gauff. This time she was going kind of spreading the court nicely and then trying to be more offensive.
Yeah, she's on the attack in a lot of these rallies so far. And, hasn't been able to take it, but she is causing issues. I guess, some of the matches that they played this year, Rome, obviously, that was like first 8 games, Gauff was awesome in there and had a real shot at troubling Iga there.
Yeah.
It wouldn't be the first time to see
this was a really heavy forehand in the corner from Iga. Cross court, like really getting that angle, height as well, like going over to Gauff's shoulder. So again, the bouncy court. I thought Pegula struggled with that the first match, by the way. Like, just Gauff's forehand was actually a lot steadier than Pegula's the whole time. It was just getting it out of Pegula's strike zone where she likes it kind of lower and hip height. She hits the ball pretty flat and stuff. And she was kind of out of sorts in general. So we saw a lot of errors.
Jake, the announcement was like maybe an hour before Rublev was going to get on the court. Something like that. No, maybe even a bit more. Like 2 hours before Rublev was going to be on the court. So he had a chance to withdraw before, yes. Oh, tough question from Keen. Which player has proved you both wrong the most in their careers? Well, this can be taken both negatively and positively, of course. Cameron Norrie definitely springs to mind. I mean, there was a time when he was like the worst player in the top 100, and then he suddenly just completely blew it out of proportion. I was, of course, watching Victoria Golubic on the weekend, and there was a time when I was convinced that she was going to be like, one of the next big things, and that never materialized. But that was just one-handed backhand bias when I was like 16 or whatever. So maybe these are my answers.
I think my answer would probably be Alex de Minaur. I was convinced that he had sort of like hit his ceiling, and that he was going to be stuck around like 15 to 25 in the world for a long time and like wouldn't ever make that next leap. And I'm happy to say this year I was wrong.
Yeah, I think Alex, to me, maybe not so much, because I don't know, when people say that like he's maximizing his potential right now, I don't think he quite is. Like, I think this is maybe more or less what I would expect from him at some point of his career. Top 10, some quarters and everything, but not really standing up to the very top. But yeah, certainly Norrie was one of these similar stories for me. Popko, yeah, that's interesting to hear, Keen. Of course, a very controversial character, but I guess we can't really bring down his fitness regime. Why did I say it in French? I don't know. Yeah, Maria Sakkari was going to be a slam champion from Brace. Yeah, I guess, if she's like, top 5, and it's not impossible. Probably US Open 2021, a good chance for her. Also the French in 21. Right now, definitely, she seems a bit further away from that. And, well, Iga eventually held. There was that great, huge ace down the tee at deuce as well, which is coming back to what we were talking about earlier about the serves. Multicolored pens. Yeah, the adults probably don't use them. But I did have one, yeah. I think it had like red, black, blue. It was like 6 different.
Yeah.
I mean, at this stage, who uses pens in general, right?
Yeah. It was like green, red, black.
Yeah. But the pen industry is dying.
Even like the print industry. Like, I don't really print things anymore, except for like legal documents and stuff. Really. Everything is online.
Yeah, I mean, I barely write anymore. It was very funny when we had like last year of the university or something like that. Like at first, I was still used to writing, but last year at the university, whenever they told me to like write a test, with a pen, like my hand would just hurt after, I don't know, 10 minutes. Like the muscles just weren't used to it anymore whatsoever. Whereas like high school, I was still super used to just writing constantly. But it's just sign of the times. What can you do? Molleker top 100 by now. Yeah, I mean, I don't know if I'll say never will be, but he's so disappointing, especially this year. So, but I totally get that. Of course, everyone at some point thought that he was going to be amazing. Yeah, I mean, I know that Sakkari has 2 titles now with the Guadalajara one, but she was also one of these 1 title players for a very long time. Muchova probably will get some, I'm sure, if she is healthy next year. Have I fully recovered from the cold? Not fully. I'm still using the Kleenexes a bit, but it's a weird cold. Like my stamina isn't depleted whatsoever. I've been playing tennis, running, playing table tennis, and it's all fine. So I don't know. It's a weird sickness, but I guess it's almost gone by now. Anyway, Coco Gauff now, of course, serving at 1-2. There was that super long rally at the beginning where Iga barely saves herself with some decent scrambling, and then Coco eventually makes an error. And certainly seems like this match is a good fight so far. There's no one player, bossing these rallies.
Yeah. 22 minutes and we're not even 4 games in, so.
Yeah. At this rate, I will be lucky to see even 1 set completed before I have to go. Yeah, the printer issue is definitely a thing for me as well. Absolutely, Dave. Whenever I have to print something, I have to go to a place which has like a copier or whatever, pay something, which in the past, I used to live with my parents and they had a printer and it was like super easy because you had to print stuff every day almost, or maybe that's a stretch, but basically you had to print stuff a lot. So you were very used to it. And now it's just like such a pain when I have to print something out like once a year.
Yeah. Is that backhand down the line again from Coco?
That was really important.
This time she just had way more time, and I think Iga was expecting it to go cross court. Oh, another good hold there.
Yes, 24 minutes in, we are just at 2 games all. So this match certainly is delivering so far. As a whole, I think we can't really be complaining about the sporting value of the WTA Finals so far. I mean, Jasmine Paolini stepping up and not giving us any stinkers definitely is helpful. And I guess it's only Pegula we can really blame for a couple of matches so far.
Yeah. There was a moment where Pagula broke back in both the sets that I kind of was like, okay, so this was more like the Jessica I know, and then she kind of went back to being really flat and lethargic again. So
Yeah, printing emails to read them. A lot of things like this have definitely gone. Some of the defenders of printed books are just succumbing to the pressure and
but
starting to
books
read
books is
ebooks.
one of those things that I prefer to have the actual book just because
Yeah, me too.
it's just easier. Like I can't really read it on a Kindle or an iPad or this thing
I just wouldn't
would,
like it, it's not the same pleasure.
yeah.
It's just not the same feeling.
But I
I'm
remember I had to
still
do that in university because textbooks were so expensive that I would save so much money by just getting a PDF or something.
yeah, but I mean you don't read a textbook for the same reasons, right? I mean
Yeah, exactly.
you only read it like in order to get the info, and it's actually like a chore rather than actually something you enjoy.
Yeah.
So but yeah, if I want to read a book right now, definitely not the PDF or e-version. Still have a lot of the printed copies, and that's what I like, including the Rocket, which I still haven't read, but it's sitting there. It's sitting there and it's waiting. That first point of this game was like very nice in terms of Iga potentially like locking in and taking that moon ball early and showing some extremely good timing, but things have gone a little sideways since, and most certainly this is still very, very tough match so far.
Yeah. Gauff is hitting the ball faster on average right now on her forehand and backhand. I think 77 miles per hour on the forehand, 80 on the backhand. Oh, that was a little bit tamer from Ego there on the third shot.
Yeah, Keen, two answers, I guess. Either something that is like extremely remote, so something on an island like Guam, or I don't know, something crazy in Oceania or something like that, or just one of these like ITF temples. So Monastir, Sharm el Sheikh, Antalya, just cross them off my list. It's gonna be a bit tough for me, Jake, because I'm leaving in about 1 hour. So I will miss plenty of challenger action. Of course, today there was supposed to be Fonseca Chorich, but Chorich pulled out, so that was gonna be massive. I think I'll try to watch some Knoxville matches later, namely Basavaredi Smith, which is the two guys that are leading the USTA Wildcard Challenge right now. Am I gonna watch anything from Lima? Maybe Komesania Boyer on the train, but yeah, otherwise I'm not really sure. Maybe Garin Rocha just before going to bed. But yeah, it's not gonna be the most the heaviest challenger watching day for me.
Where are you headed?
Just table tennis.
Oh. Do you play like any kind of competitions?
Yeah, I'm actually gonna play one tomorrow. Today is the final practice before the big day, which is not really a big day, obviously, but yeah, the final practice before the tournament.
Well, another really tight hold. It's having to save a breakpoint.
Yeah, breakpoint. There was this like one of these most classic Coco Gauff forehand errors where she's just trying to add a lot on it and overworks it a little bit.
Oh yeah, I forgot they had a little Twitter span.
Yeah.
I've forgotten about that. Yeah, that's right. They did.
Brazy, no, not Brazy, but Brazy. You have to be careful using that Buyun Chaoketa, mono name or however you wanna call it, because Ghosty is gonna be angry about you respecting the ethnic Mongolian customs. What do you mean?
Someone was mentioning about Ayini. I think it was Kian in the chat. But he lost a lead 2 today, but he did win the first set 6-1. I think that was in the Matsuyama.
Yeah.
So we only have 4 challengers this week instead of 6 like last week.
Yes. Horrible.
Couple of 125s as well for the WTA. Oh, for a while I thought that defensive get was going to drop in from Iga, but just missed. It's pretty high quality so far, actually.
It is, yeah. It's a good battle, but also the rallies, they have so many twists and turns with how good both these women defend.
Wow, another really awesome point here at 15-0. Just some really good defending from both. Eventually ends in a Swiatek error, but some really good defense from her initially, just to stay alive in the point.
Yes, Brazy. It's a pretty famous fun fact that Manarino uses that string tension that no one else would be able to even keep the ball in play with, but somehow he does it, adding to his wizard reputation. And Keen, this is something I was not aware of. I now have to scream at somebody, and I will of course do it in a WhatsApp message rather than anything else. But well, that's not great.
Ooh, Coco going for the drop shot after exchanging forehands, but this time Iga is very quick up to it. And she puts away the backhand volley. And looked quite comfortable doing it. Seemed very nonchalant, actually. We see this again. Yeah. Oh, she made that look easy, actually. Could have been trickier. These kind of moments where we see if the Gauff second serve holds up. 30-all, 2-3. And wow, she actually gets a service winner. you think sometimes a coaching change like this can just take a lot of pressure off of you and, lowers your expectations, and then you can kind of just play a bit more freely?
Yeah, I think that we can see this a lot with players just kind of, they don't even know why, but they expect a boost when they are starting with a new coach. There's like a new spike of investment and kind of just, yeah, I mean, I've brought in someone new who's obviously has a good reputation, who I trust. And they start playing better despite like not really knowing why. Sometimes I think it's a bit of a placebo effect. Of course, then we kind of after a while, after that honeymoon period, you kind of just know if this was actually for real or not. But yeah, I think it is a fact. It is a factor. It is an actual thing.
Yeah. Swiatek right now, average service game duration 5 minutes 42 seconds.
What is the Coco service game?
3 minutes 6 seconds.
Yeah. Still not that quick, but definitely not as tiresome as Iga's.
Yeah. Oh, that backhand speed was really up there. This time she goes straight down the middle. Yeah, she kind of turns that backhand at the last second and sometimes can just change directions on it at will. So that's what makes it pretty deadly sometimes when she's in position and looking to be aggressive with it. Both these pairs have a pretty good down the line backhand in general. Oh, this time Gauff trying to go for a really aggressive forehand return of the second serve. Doesn't work for her.
I think surface doesn't really matter in regards to me and Vansh potentially playing somewhere. It's yeah, the result would not be impacted by the
I have
conditions.
never played on clay or grass. I mean, I played on clay, but it's the US clay. It's not the same.
Yeah, I don't think it would actually matter. I think when the difference in skill is enough, yeah. I wouldn't beat I don't know, Lerner Tien on clay courts, I wouldn't. Or Mariano Navone on hard courts. No. So that's all I have to say about this. Could a doubles team ever be successful with both players playing at the baseline? Yes, absolutely. We've seen some unexpected title runs from pairings like this, and sure, can work. Will it take you to number one? Maybe not, but you can try.
Ooh. How about that forehand from Coco at 15-0?
She's been putting in the pressure on these return games constantly.
Yeah.
And now it seems like she might actually get something out of it.
Yeah. Obviously, it's that classic Coco kind of loopy forehand down the line, right? That like kind of. Sometimes she uses it to get her way back into the rallies, but actually at 15-0, she kind of used it offensively to set up the flatter forehand. Here, she kind of gets the error. But can she take one of these chances? Because so far, you guys have been quite clutch on breakpoints. Oh, and this time she does. She forces another backhand error from Iga by going pretty deep down the middle with the return. And yeah, I have to say she's been a little bit better so far in the first 7 games. Still early, but definitely the signs for Coco are really good right now. Everything that I'm seeing from her in terms of her serving and also from the baseline as well. The offensive mindset so far, while not being reckless.
Yeah, she was poking at Iga. She was poking at Iga constantly, and finally she gets something out of it. Gets the first break of the match. Given how it's been going so far, it's certainly not a guarantee that she's just going to take the first set on the back of this. But I think it's fair to say that she's been really applying the pressure on return much more than she usually does in this matchup.
Yeah. Right from the return, because I feel like Iga hit some good serves in that last game, especially out wide, but Coco managed to sort of get it with a lot of depth and put Iga on the back foot and then be offensive from there. So she's created a lot of chances like that in Iga's service games. So, but her own service games haven't been that simple either. So you wouldn't be surprised if there's another twist here in this set, the way this match is going. Gauff actually has a less than 50% first serves in percentage right now. She's at like 48%. So she's had to hit quite a lot of second serves and win quite a lot of baseline rallies.
That's a backhand trade that Iga is first to step away from and does it beautifully with the down the line winner.
Yeah, really well done there.
That comment about the blue ball, maybe I missed something that was there previously, or I don't know, some introduction to it, but well, I'm not gonna comment on it, I suppose. I don't think it's good when your balls are green. How many times has Coco double faulted so far? I don't think it's been a major factor, right?
I would guess once. Yeah, once. They both double faulted once. So
I think that's the case, yeah. Of course, right as I said it, 30-15, she double faults.
Yeah. She hit 2 in the match against Fagula.
Oh, yeah, that's also solid.
I think it was Renee Stubbs who says that if Coco double faults less than 6 times in every match, she'll win the tournament.
Yeah, I mean, she could. She could also win hitting more than 6 double faults a match.
Yeah.
Definitely feels like in many cases, double faults tend to be a bit of like a placeholder debate topic where like we focus on that, we nitpick, but it's not actually the reason why the player is losing the match. But in the case of that Sabalenka Wuhan semi, yeah, that was actually a thing. Like 20 points taken from that, and she would have easily won. So,
yeah. Well, this was a good point from 30-all because Iga didn't make it easy with the return, but then Gauff hits a forehand winner behind her and didn't really panic.
Well, 4-3 with a break was not yet close to taking the set, actually. 5-3, the way, consolidating this break is now putting Gauff in a really good position to take a set from Iga. And as we know, I mean, the only time she took a set from Swiatek, she actually beat her as well in Cincinnati.
Yes, indeed. And I think Iga was up 5-3 in that first set, but loses it in a tiebreak, wins the second, and then one break at the end of the third. But I mean, so far she's winning quite a lot of second serve points. She's at 8 over 14 second serve points, and her first serve percentage is only 46%. So she's having to really win a lot of baseline rallies and win these types of exchanges, which in the last couple of games, yeah, she's kind of separated herself a little bit from Coco but I mean from Iga rather.
Yeah, so far it's kind of like, we're waiting to see if Iga is going to have that finding her range moment that she had against Krejcikova, and also how much can Coco like do to at least delay her. And so far, I think she's doing well on both counts. Definitely playing a bit more aggressively than usually in this matchup, and not just allowing Iga to like hang in there and wait for that potential switch up that might come or might not come. Now there's some tension as well in the way that Swiatek is producing the ground strokes for sure. This backhand here off the middle of the court. That's
couple
just
of backhands to start this game. She wasn't really in balance.
Yeah.
And yeah, she's having to hit some of these above shoulder height, which isn't that comfortable. Normally she's very good at it on the backhand side because she does have like that compact stroke. She can like take it pretty early. We've also seen a couple of really good backhands down the lines from Iga so far this first set. But yeah, she's going to want to get a few free points here. Like that was a nice surplus one at love 30. Really intense rally here, which eventually results in Iga being potentially a little bit rushed on the forehand, but hitting that in the middle or bottom of the net. So
yeah, there was a previous forehand as well that looked super shaky. I think just overall she's off her timing at the moment, and
yeah,
not sure that shot was like doing all that much from Gauff to really get her that uncomfortable in that point. But it was also pretty telling, that whole long exchange, because there was no real moment where like Swiatek saw like a plan, an idea as to how to get out of this. Like she was just stuck in this long point with Gauff.
Yeah,
and
meanwhile you have Coco also mixing things up on the forehand, using the slice, hitting the loopier shots. Kind of the variety has actually kept Iga guessing a little bit.
This could be one of these points where the drop shot can potentially be a thing in the future, or like approaching the net. Maybe that's something that Iga will reintroduce to her game at some point. Yeah. On the next point, I mean, she actually goes to the net. The approach is a little forced, but it's good enough. We see it was just a put away volley, really, but.
I think in the past, a lot of times in this matchup, Swiatek hasn't had to take a lot of risk, because she could just sort of rely on her base level, being a little bit better than Coco's, getting those forehand errors, and it didn't feel like she had to really sort of redline. But I feel like the way Coco is playing right now, like Iga really kind of has to go for the lines a bit more, like kind of just play a little bit more out of her comfort zone, which won't be easy.
Well, she was kind of asking for it, and she's now down a set 3-6 after 50 minutes. One more error where she's like not even like positioning herself well for that inside out forehand, maybe questioning herself a little bit, maybe still struggling a bit with the timing. So if she is going to win this match, it's going to have to be a sort of similar turnaround as against Barbora Krejcikova. Gotta find that shift moment, gotta find that momentum shift, and eventually we'll see if she's able to do it. I mean, so far Coco just really solid.
Yeah,
and
I
aggressive
think the
when
big
she
difference
can.
was their service games. I think that stat was pretty huge. That like almost 6 minutes for every Iga hold, and like 3 minutes for Coco, because apart from the first service game, Gauff was never pushed to deuce on her own serve. So Iga didn't get to break point all set. And I think only just one deuce game really on Coco's serve the whole time. So that proved to be quite big. But I did think sort of when Iga held for 3-all at 40-30, I kind of was like, okay, like this is pretty even. I don't know who's going to win this set. But then things really started to shift.
I mean, Iga maybe hasn't had like a break point, but most of the Coco games were also pretty long. It was like 40-30 every time, whereas on Swiatek serve they would go deuce. Yeah, on Swiatek serve they would go deuce, and on Coco's serve it would be like 40-30 pretty much every single game. Well, I most certainly couldn't return Otto Virtanen's serve even if they paid me $1 million to do it. How does Baez win matches of clay? He doesn't. And Vansh, to you, who is the best player you have hit with?
Probably two of them. I'll go with Emilio Nava and Ryan Segerman.
Ooh, nice.
Yeah, who's actually killing it right now in doubles with Patrick.
Sometimes in singles as well. Was he playing like that sort of a weird style already? Throwing in the drop shots, slices, and everything?
Actually, from what I remember, it was much more conventional back then.
Okay.
Now he's sort of introduced those things in his game. Which you kind of needed to do, I think, to get to the next level.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know really what his singles ceiling is like. It doesn't feel like he can really like live up with, like hang with top 500 players, really.
Yeah, but I remember his volleys were always really, really good, and he was always really good at like the drop shot was always pretty good. He was always very good at like reading the game, and it doesn't surprise me that he's like better equipped for doubles.
Do you have a UTR, Vansh?
At one point, I was like a 10, but then I started playing, so I don't know what it is now. I think I'm probably unrated.
That's higher than Druva Mulje. If anyone knows who Druva Mulje is.
I don't know who that is.
Well, his pro record counting both singles and doubles is like 580 or whatever. But yeah. I think I'm the loudest person in my hall, Dave. Usually, I'm usually the loudest person. I'm not like consistently loud, but when I am loud, when I am shouting, I am properly shouting. And yeah, I don't feel like it's ever really intolerable. But maybe when you're there playing, you don't really feel it. But maybe some other people hate me. I don't know.
Do you play like the proper, with like the Asian grip?
No, I play shake hand, but there's no like proper grip. Like they're both considered as good. There's pros playing this and there's pros playing that.
Yeah, because I prefer kind of like the index finger on the back, and then just kind of I hit my forehand like similar to how I do in tennis with just a much shorter take back.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely have similar technique in both, and I think, of course, in Europe, the penhold technique isn't really that popular, but there's no like better or worse, proper or improper. Both of them are used by pros, and you're gonna find players with both techniques in the top 10.
Yeah, but I find
the
that
sound of the balls never bothers me, Dave. No.
If I play a lot of tennis and not that much table tennis, I kind of feel like more comfortable on the backhand, just because it's like kind of a block one-hander shot, and it's like I can do so much more offensive damage with the backhand actually. And then
I think it's the case for a lot of tennis pros. When you watch, like for a lot of tennis pros as well, when you watch them play table tennis, so like they're going to be super solid of the backhand wing. Iga did not fire her psychologist. No, Daria is still very much a part of the team. Brazy, I definitely am not as good as Mika or Emil. Or Otto. Definitely not. Emil, maybe. I mean, Emil is not really playing professionally anymore, and he also switched to a chop. Maybe Emil, but I'm not sure. I don't think I would beat him either. But Mika and Otto are 100 times better than me.
That first set that you saw from Coco, do you think that's potentially tournament winning level?
I mean, it could be, but was it something outstanding and, impossible to beat? No. Then again, if I'm looking at the other group, and thinking who she's going to come up against. I mean, there's just one player really that stands out as someone that she might struggle to beat, and that's Arina Sabalenka. And I mean, sure, she could lose to Kim Ven, but I just don't think it would be like, more than, let's say, a 35% chance for Zheng or something like that. So I don't think this first set really made me change my opinion about anything here. I think I was decently high on Coco going into the event as well. And well, still, it feels like Swiatek has the time here to potentially improve, adjust, and get into the match a little bit more. She's not exactly getting blown off the court. She's not like getting crushed by Gauff for the most part, at least. So I feel like Gauff is still a little reliant on Iga just to keep missing so far. But I mean, obviously she's played a super solid set, that's for sure.
Yeah. I think the last service game was really tough for her, being down 3-5, and she has to play red line a little bit more. We saw a few more errors just piling up.
Yeah, mostly on the first ball of the rally, and not even feeling like, okay, this is a positive error, right? Where she's trying to, I don't know, construct something. She's trying to do step out of the comfort zone, which we mentioned earlier, but mostly just errors due to the timing being a little more shaky and maybe some nerves even. Of course, now she took that break after the opening set. Maybe she's gonna come back a bit rejuvenated. A break here would be a perfect start. Let's see if she can get that.
Yeah. I think the difference also is that Coco won all those points at 30-all or 40-30, right away. But then, and I think that happened in 4 games where it was still kind of tough for her, but then she won those points. And she won. She was winning a lot of second serve points, but I don't know if I also don't know if that stat is really sustainable, because you have to figure that at some point, she's just not going to win so many rallies.
It's going to be a 30-all point here right away on the Gauff serve. So
yeah.
And
we have a 15-30 here for Iga. Oh, I guess scenarios already.
Yeah, that was actually a backhand cross court that Gauff. That Swiatek struggled with, just to absorb the pace of Gauff.
Yeah.
And now we're going to have another one of these 30-all points that Gauff has been so good so far on.
Yeah. Another second serve here at 30-all. Oh, and this time she gets the double fault. So this is the first break point that you guys had all match. First game of the second set. First opportunity. And she'll have another second serve look. Oh, and this time, yeah, Iga misses the return, and it was... looked like she got a little bit jammed, actually, on that forehand. Bit effective going into the body. I wonder if there's any key adjustments Gauff has actually made on that second serve technically. I'm not looking close enough to really see it. But I'm sure other pro players could identify that better.
Well, this second serve on breakpoint was, I don't know, just in play, right? It wasn't anything sensational.
I guess, but I think in the past she would kind of decelerate on it maybe, or doubt herself a little bit more, or maybe toss it a little bit behind her,
It's still happening from time to time. And
it's
in fact,
happening
I just watched another one of them.
Yeah. I mean, what is her first serve percentage for the match? Yeah, it's about 50%. That feels right. We'll see if Iga gets another chance here.
Rundown on the match so far, Matthew. Are both playing well, and Coco left the double faults at home. Well, she hit a few, but they haven't like really been too impactful. She's winning a lot of these 30 all points, deuce points. She's really solid. She's playing aggressively when she can, and Swiatek could definitely use some slightly better timing on the attack and I don't know, just get into the range a bit more like she did in the second set against Krejcikova. I feel like if anyone is I mean, there's not really that much more than Coco could have done so far. Like, it's just been a perfectly fine performance from her, and it's Iga who's kind of on the more disappointing end so far.
Yeah, that breakpoint backhand, that she sort of just neutral, random rally ball error, nothing really on the Coco shot. Those are the kind of errors you can't afford to make right now.
And she had a good return of serve, which gave her a good chance to get up in the rally.
Yeah. Oh, this time she actually kind of hit a good return, but it wasn't intentional. But Coco was quick to get to that ball, and it's a nice angle on the forehand.
My stream is about 20 seconds behind you guys.
Yeah, I think she's also kind of struggling with a little bit of those body serves that Coco is hitting, maybe sometimes on the
Coco forehand doing the damage there, Vanch, as well. How about that? Not a sentence you say too often. Force in the air, I would say.
Yeah, I think the forehand has held up pretty well.
And it held up well against Pegula as well. On
Sunday. It did, yeah. It was doing a lot more offensive damage as well because it was getting the ball out of Jessie's strike zone, and she likes it a bit lower, sort of hip height. And these courts are taking the spin really well as well. So she has that option of hitting the higher loopier shots to get her opponents out of position, and then she can set up the backhand, which we know is like one of the best already.
There's another double fault though. I say another. She's not hit too many, but I think there was a recent one.
Yeah, she's hit a couple this game. She hit 2 in the match against Pegula. She had 1 in the first set against Iga.
Yeah. So that's fine. I mean, that's the 6 or lower or 6 or fewer ratio that Rene Stubbs highlighted that you mentioned earlier.
Yeah. She does get to game point here.
Feels as though Iga can't afford the slow, I was going to say start, but the slow half of the match that she had against Barbour the other day. I don't think Coco will let her off the hook.
Yeah. No, for sure. I think she's going to really be made to pay for that because Krejcikova sort of her game fell off a lot as well. And Iga tried to find her timing, but
big hold that one for Coco. I feel as though that was her toughest service game in the match. I don't recall her being under too much pressure on her serve thus far. Yeah. Has she even faced a break point?
Just 2 break points this game, but in the first set, no, she never got to break point.
Yes, it
was always 30 all or 40-30, and then she ended up winning the point.
Basically, all of her games were like 30 all and then 2 points.
Yeah.
There's a little Polish contingent, by the way, Damien. I did write it in the live chat comment. There's a Polish contingent in the stadium. Didn't know there was a big Polish expat community in Riyadh.
I doubt there is.
Well, I did. You know, the UTS a few weeks ago, I'm pretty sure that little groups, or at least one group, was paid to be there. Like, they were big sort of supporters of one player or another. And I got I'm not saying that's happened today. That's a nice forehand from Iga.
I mean, it happened at the Next Gen Finals last year. It happened at the Davis Cup Finals. So
where people have been paid?
Yeah. I mean, why not? Well, I can give you a lot of reasons of why not. Why it shouldn't be happening, but we know it has been used.
I just didn't know it had happened at the Davis Cup because the Davis Cup feels like one of the more authentic.
Well, I don't know if it was like the finals. I think it might have been the finals group stage, but basically for these neutral matches, you know, when the country was not there, right?
Okay. By the way, I'm reacting to a backhand return that Vance, you would have seen about 30 seconds ago. But
Yeah.
Yeah, I've seen it. I saw it in 2005. So.
The backhand return from
the backhand return. Yeah.
Yeah.
Coco was born in 2006 or 2005. 2005.
2004. Yeah.
2004. Yeah.
Ooh. She felt a bit rushed there on that return, Iga. I've seen that forehand from Iga a few times actually in her career, more than a few times, hundreds of times.
Yeah. One thing I'd like to see Iga do is move back sometimes on the return. I feel like she's very close to the
So
base.
as soon as she serves, take a sort of a mini step back.
Yeah. Like you see where Coco is returning from? Like it's not on the baseline. It's not that far back. It's not like Medvedev, but it's like kind of somewhere in between.
Yeah, yeah.
3 to 6 feet back as opposed to 15 feet. I feel like she's not getting rushed as easily because of that.
Who would be better for talking tennis, Camera or Trump? I don't know. I don't know if one or the other wants to clamp down on YouTube or big up YouTube.
Neither is a good fit.
They included like we want growth for 10K and over YouTube channels, the sort of small to middling sized channels. Maybe
I know who would be better for me, but for talking tennis overall, I don't know.
I think I'll WhatsApp you later, Damien, but I think I know who you've put money on.
Okay.
I think so too. Yeah, I know who it is. But...
I think so. I think just because of the more interesting or the more what's the word? The better value, I think, is the word I'm looking for.
I mean, there were moments when the odds were like similar.
Yeah, I know, but I think they're quite similar now. But they were.
They are slightly in Trump's favor, but slightly more than they were a month ago.
But in the last, so if I said to you like 4 days ago, 8 days ago, they would have been not substantially, but you know, it was a fairly clear distance between Trump and in the odds. But that was
like
not
the last 2 or 3 days.
Yeah, they've closed. Yeah.
My bet was made a long while ago, though, like not a week ago.
Okay.
But obviously, what makes it really interesting in the US is the swing states. That's what it's really all about. It's all about 7 states, really.
Yeah,
it's almost like the big points
and start counting, right? And
it's like my vote in California. Like as much as I tell people you should vote, like it's more or less confirmed. Like what?
Yeah.
It is.
When was the last time the California went in a different direction?
Never. I mean, certainly not in the last 50 years.
Certainly not in living memory. By the way, that was an unbelievably good point there from Iga.
It was, yeah.
Fortunate as hell, but
the volley at the end was sumptuous.
Yeah. I mean, that was fortunate, but that's okay.
You think it was fortunate, the volley?
It looked good. Yeah, obviously. I mean, yeah. There was zero control on that shot, but that's okay.
Maybe you could say that for about a quarter of shots. Coming to
Coco
the net.
with the forehand winner down the line, just really confident right now with the stroke speeds and direction.
Yeah,
but I'd like to see Iga try something different on the return of serve. I feel like she is still a little bit too glued to the baseline, if you know what I mean.
Mm-hmm.
Had a few tough ones on these breakpoints in the first game, like the first breakpoint especially. I think she could have done so much more on the return.
The second one, she just missed like this neutral backhand.
And the first one, she just like Gauff just rolls in the second serve to her forehand, and Iga just overhits it for like no reason really.
Yeah.
It's not even like she wasn't trying to go flat for any like winner or something like that. I don't know. It's certainly could have done much more, but now it seems like the Gauff second service
getting a lot of help now from the double faults. Actually, this is what the third distance. 2 in the previous game, but Gauff held anyway. So.
I can tell you why he's not sitting, Nerlan, because he's about to leave.
Another second serve here. 15-30.
I went Swiatek in 3 pre-match. And I probably never, for this matchup, I've probably never made that prediction. I've probably always gone Swiatek in straights. If I had made a prediction for the previous 12 encounters. I don't remember what my thoughts were in Cincinnati, but...
Yeah. Well, in Cincinnati, she won the first set and then ended up winning in
Yeah, I
3.
don't think you would have gone Swiatek in 2 in Cincinnati.
No, just because of Coco's form at the time. Oh boy, that was an ugly... I mean, there's double faults and then there's double faults.
Yeah. This is another sort of backhand return.
It to be, that match where Gauff finally has a shot. So
yeah, and a bit today as well. I think similar vibes.
Yeah, but I mean, she's already done it once.
Yes. That return there, Vanch from Swiatek, just long.
Yeah. That was sort of another example of just overhitting it, when she has the chance. I don't know if moving back on that one would have definitely helped. I don't think so. I think she just had to make it.
By the way, someone in the chat, Damien, has got a question for you. I don't know if you're still there, if you can hear. But the question is, I'm not going to tell you who says it, but I'm just going to tell you what the question is. Where the hell is he going?
Nowhere, Norland. Just take good tennis.
Going to be another break point here, though, for Iga.
Yeah. This time it's Coco who misses a backhand way out. Just wild, lost total control over it.
I think Damien should play ping pong with a visor like
another missed return, and this time she completely had her feet set and everything.
Is that
I think you'll see it in a minute. You'll see it in a minute, but Gauff. Yeah, 5 for 5 on breakpoint saved for Coco.
In this match, yeah.
In the match.
I'm about to see it. I mean, it is only just long.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, Damien with a visor on, like Barbara Krejcikova would be amusing to see that playing table tennis.
Is it Andy Roddick who was famous for the visor?
Oh yeah, it's the last guy on the ATP side I can remember. Yeah. Coco going on with a forehand, so another break point.
So this time she does end up taking it on the 4th try, and it's Coco who makes the
Coco gave her so much help this game.
Yeah. I was like, if
from Dukes as well again, yeah.
Then I think she's in big trouble because she was helped a lot there. But
tacky powder on my palms for better grip. Yeah, I mean my practice doesn't start for an hour and a half. I have to get there first, and I'm not applying tacky powder there now.
Coco was asked in press a day or two ago if she'd voted. She said yes. I don't know if Jessica Pegula got asked the same question.
If she what?
I don't know if Pegula was asked the same question.
If she voted. Yeah.
Yeah, sorry, yeah. Coco was asked if she voted. She said, yep. I think I'd be more intrigued about Pegula's vote, personally. I know where Coco's voting, I'm pretty sure. But Pegula will be more intriguing, I think. She might be one of those silent Trumpies.
She could be also just given her background and her.
That's right, yeah.
And, I mean, I'm sure for economic, financial reasons, she might be going that direction.
Anyway, sticking to the tennis, Iga now has the break, and my pre-match Iga in 3 is if you went on the bookmaker's website right now, and it was Coco straights, Coco in 3, or Iga in 3, which do you think would be the most likely outcome? I think maybe Iga in 3.
After that game, yeah. After that game, yes. At the start of the set, maybe.
No. I mean, not the start of the set necessarily.
I mean, before the match, I probably also would have said Swiatek in 3, and right now, I would still be willing to back it up. But
Yeah.
actually, for the
Who's the
cookies,
favorite right now? Just in
Gauff.
general, let's make it a little
Gauff.
easier. Gauff is the favorite, yeah.
Yeah.
Bookies
I
odds,
think
yes,
Gauff.
Gauff.
And you two?
Yeah.
I would say that, I would be happy with that Swiatek in free prediction at the moment, but that's just because, I can see that there's a way in for her in this match. Like, it's not like she's completely out of it, getting outplayed. And Gauff did give her a lot of help in that previous game, but...
Nerlan is urging you to cancel your table tennis.
No, I never cancel the table tennis. Unless I'm leaving for like a foreign trip or something like that. Unless I'm like literally not able to physically, but it always takes.
Nerlan thinks that by stomping his feet, he can pretty much achieve anything. I mean, I remember when something was happening earlier this year, and it was just like, no, I think it was we're not doing a show today, however. Why not? Just make it happen or something.
By the way, Coco on the return today has just been really good. Just like getting these balls deep down the middle, forcing Iga to like come up with something. She's also moved back on her return position a little bit, even if the serves aren't coming really fast at her. It's kind of just making Iga press, go for a little bit too much on the third shot. So it hasn't been very comfortable for her to get those.
Well, not much has been comfortable for Iga in general in this match, and she double faults now to give Gauff 3 break points right back.
Oh, I'm pretty sure he would, Brazy.
Oh. Yeah, it's love 40 now.
Yeah, I think everybody would cancel a show for it.
Oh yeah, of course I would. The hit with Brandon, yes.
Imagine Brandon. Oh, I'm doing a challenger show with Damien. Sorry, Brandon. And doing a live watch along for Liam Brody against I don't know, Benoit Paire. Brody Paire though could be kind of interesting.
They're both playing, I think, in Brody lost in the qualies, but technically they could have faced
Brody
each
lost
other
in qualies for a challenger.
Yeah.
What's his ranking now, by the way?
500-ish.
Oh, Gauff has got the break back.
Yeah.
Wow, since Brody made that
555, 3
wow.
Yeah.
That's 12 months he's gone from breaking the top 100 to, as in the highlight of his career, to 555 in the world. Wow.
Yeah, but I mean, he was out for 3 months and he didn't win a match for like 6. So.
Yeah. I mean, he's in danger of maybe not getting with that kind of ranking. I don't think he'll get a wild card for Wimbledon, would he?
Qualies maybe, but main draw probably not. This year it was actually pretty competitive. Yeah.
How was his grass season this year?
Didn't win a match.
No matches won. Oh yeah, because he was coming.
I mean, he only played 2 of them, I think so.
Yeah.
And it was Eastbourne and Wimbledon, so like kind of above his level generally.
Yeah, but his level at Wimbledon, his track record there's not too bad.
It used to be pretty horrible. Like he used to have a horrible grass win rate, but then around 2021, he really picked it up and suddenly started making these Wimbledon third rounds.
That time, Iga doing much better job of getting the second serve return in play and being aggressive on it. So let's see. Both of their service games right now are just they have like no confidence they can hold.
Absolutely rough. And I guess the first set was also like relatively similar. It's just that we had all these long games and Coco on more of
Iga
them.
going for that drop shot that you were
an Iga drop shot. Is that the first one we've seen in about 3 years?
Not Iga. Sorry, I misspoke. Coco going for the backhand drop shot down the line after setting it up with the fast backhand.
Iga won't go for a drop shot until 2028.
I think we'll see one in 2025.
I mean, there were a few this clay season actually.
Oh, were there? Okay.
Yeah,
on clay, she just feels so comfortable that she can just kind of try that and just win the point. Like Iga, we see a lot more variety from her on clay just in general, even in this more robotic phase of her career, right?
On set point today, facing set point, Pegula tried a little dink, like chasing down a shot coming into the net, and she tried that little dink to save the set point, but it hit the net cord and came back her side, and that was that.
Yeah. I feel like she should have made that return at 30-15 again. She's missing too many of these returns.
Yeah. 15-30, yeah.
Ooh, but this time she's super precise on a backhand cross court, and then she has the forehand lined up, but she just sprays it. Long.
People were putting giving the death knell on Iga's forehand after a set and a half against Barbora Krejcikova. Juan Ignacio was particularly downbeat after a set and a half, shall we say. I mean, he was almost putting the death knell, I don't know.
I remember, I saw that tweet. And he was
that was quite reactionary. It was not like, I don't know what's happened. I don't know where it's all gone. Like it might not come back. And of course, an hour later.
Yeah, for me, I don't know. I feel like this WTA Finals, there isn't like a ton of pressure on Iga, It's kind of just... Maybe also that she's just pretty much guaranteed to lose that number one, and she's already won it before.
But she's the type of person who will put a lot of pressure on herself anyway.
She will, yeah. But it's good for her to play this tournament because she'll go into the off season with a lot more info. But I just don't think the result is going to be like that meaningful for next year,
The double faults are being racked.
Unless she wins it, then maybe.
Unless she wins it unbeaten, yeah.
Yeah, unless she wins it 5-0 like she did last year, then it could.
Well, my last 2 points, ladies, make it worth it. Let's give me something special. I've already watched that point where Gauff is like running from everywhere and then eventually wins it. So,
yeah,
I'm now watching that point. Wow, it's really good depth there from Coco.
Yeah,
these defensive
her depth
shots
has been really good, especially on the forehand. She's like really just.
Oh, and one of those hit the
back on a lot of these shots.
Maybe this is the one where like Iga could have, had another plan, mixed in a slice, mixed in a drop shot, went to the net or something. But instead, Coco is like very far wide to her backhand corner, and there's not much she can do about it. But at least on my screen, she is actually still in the game and producing a great return 1-2 punch here. So this is my last point, probably.
You have seen Gauff use a little bit of slice, just not on the backhand, but on the forehand, right? Like she can throw in a few more of those slice or shots, like just improvise.
I'm going out with this question from Brazy. Who would I trust to win a match to save my life? Laszlo Djere or Brandon Nakashima? Brandon Nakashima.
Brandon, yeah.
Isn't it surface dependent, like on clay?
Still,
No.
I mean, Brandon
Still
has improved
Brandon.
a lot on clay courts. Yeah, I think he's much less volatile than Djere. Anyway, see ya.
See ya.
That was a good return from Iga, and she hits a jumping backhand winner down the line to get to break point.
That was a great return, yeah. Djokovic-esque there into the body, into the feet of Coco.
Yeah. Ooh, and on the next point, Coco, who makes the first serve, Iga scrambles to get the return back, and then Gauff goes for a swing volley with the whole court open, but she hits it down the middle, so Iga gets there, but she just doesn't have enough time for the pass. Gets a bit jammed.
Yeah, I'm watching it now, yeah, bit jammed, yeah, but that was makeable, I would say.
Yeah. She did run the distance.
She probably just over anticipate in terms of running back to get across court. She just sort of.
I think if you're so fast, sometimes you can just overrun balls.
Yeah.
Although Gauff makes a really good first serve at deuce, Iga can't get the return back in play.
Yeah, but again.
Oh wow! And what a serve at game point. I mean, she finds the ace down the tee, just barely clicks the line, and that was some hold.
And there's a big hold, yeah.
That could be a really big one, actually.
Yeah. Did Iga have any break points in that game? I don't think she did, though, did she?
She had one.
She had one. So she's probably now 1 from 6, is she? Something like that in this match, in this set as well?
Yeah, she's 1 for 7, I believe.
1 for 7, yeah.
Of course, she did break once, but then she got broken at love.
Yeah. Yeah, in terms of Coco, I mean, the performance against Pegula, I agree with you in terms of Pegula's 4 sets at this tournament. They've all been fairly underwhelming, but the Coco performance was very clean. I had some nice backhands on the rise from a neutral position that she was hitting outright winners from. Was lovely. The forehand and the double faults were not apparent in the terms of the double faults, or not too big an issue. Yeah, there was a couple of forehands that she should have done better with. It she sort of makes them a bit loopy, and sometimes they loop too much. But in general, you wouldn't have looked at that match and gone, if you didn't know anything about a forehand issue, you wouldn't have mentioned it at all.
Yeah. Well, I think she found a good balance on that shot in the Pegula match, where she was like for instance, the match point, like really good defensive skill, but then also just like placing the ball well, getting it out of Pegula's strike zone, hitting those cross court angles, and then even stepping in from time to time. She did make a few errors when she was trying to be more aggressive, but that didn't stop her from like her intention was always there, and I didn't feel like she was second guessing herself on that shot. So when those two things are under control, she becomes really hard to stop in these
Today
conditions.
was almost a carbon copy against Barboda in terms of, I mean, the way that the match went in terms of the scoreline, losing the first set 6-3, and then going down an early break and getting that early break back. The only difference is I probably didn't expect I don't know how to put it, the underwhelming last 4 games that Jessica had on Sunday. I didn't expect that. I thought when she got back on serve, I thought, okay, here we go. We're now game on. Whereas today, partly because of what I'd seen, but also because of what happened on Sunday, when she got the break back, Kira and I were like, yeah, but I think another break is going to come again. And it's exactly what happened. And
yeah, I had a similar feeling as well. Especially also,
I don't know if she was sick or there was an injury, because her movement throughout, I mean, she was aced, I think, 11 times, I'm going to say. Half of those aces were unbelievable and fine. Maybe 3 or 4 of them were like, I don't know, maybe a fully fit and firing. Jessica's getting a racket on that.
what a point from Coco here at 15-0.
Well, that's a big one as well.
Yeah,
starts with a good return.
Couple of very good volleys, comes in right away, knocks it off. It's very
lovely. Played that one really well.
Yeah.
Wow.
I feel like this win is more important for Coco than it is for Iga. Just not just because of the head-to-head, but just with all the momentum she has right now. Also, just
I still think because of Pegula's form and the lack of motivation that she'll have for that last match. I mean, by the way, if she is super, super sick or badly hurt, she may even pull out. But I think Iga will probably still qualify. Obviously, it's between her and Barboda.
Yeah.
The nature of this loss, though, won't help in terms of Iga if she loses in straights. By the way, she's obviously
definitely. I think there's still there's definitely some room for Iga to work on some things variation wise, because
yeah, but that's not going to happen today. I don't think it'll happen during the off season more. You mean in terms of the long term point of her improving the variety, or do you mean something a bit too late to do something at return position?
Yeah, I think long term, especially for the off season and then next year.
Yeah.
Okay, she does save one break point with a really good forehand.
Yeah,
I've seen that against it now.
Yeah.
Second serve here, break point. Oh, and Gauff does hit a good return. She's in the rally, but she misses the forehand cross court.
Some big praise here from Mert on Twitter for Gauff's footwork. Yeah, it was a lovely return, but then that was the forehanders going on there.
This time Iga finds a better location on her first serve. kind of serves that we've seen Gauff hit this match more. Yeah.
Ooh. Yeah, I guess that was quite obvious. She would go to the forehand on that serve. It was a really good serve, nevertheless. I think you can't blame the Coco forehand there. It's just really nicely put out wide. I'm talking about the juice point.
What a backhand there from Iga on game point. Just held it to the very last second, and Gauff did a really good job in that rally, just mixing it up. She did that little forehand slice as well, get Iga in a really compromised position, and well, Iga responded. Some really good footwork from her.
Yeah. Punches, because obviously she had 2 break points there en route. I think, was that 4 points in a row?
15-40. So actually 2 really good holds from both of them. I mean, where Gauff saved a break point and held, and then now this one where 2 break points and held. So
yeah, 15-40. I was fearing the worst for Iga, which is why I started to think about the maths and think about, you know, when you said who's this more important for. I mean, I think it's more important as well for Coco, probably even more so right now, just because of that 11-1 situation.
Yeah, and especially also because like Iga's not been playing for 2 months, and this is not her best surface, and Coco does have all this form, and I feel like she could really use a win like this, because then that would really confirm that she has really taken a step up after the US Open.
Yeah, double fault at the start of this game, and there'll be there may be a few screenshots out there with 6-3, 2-3, 15.
15-40,
And now those double faults have hit double figures from Coco.
Yeah, they're mostly coming this set.
And they have pretty much, mostly. If not this, I think there might have been 1 or 2 towards the end of the first set. But yeah, it felt like she was fine. I remember when she hit her first double fault, it was like, that's okay. 1 in 3 or 4 service games, no problem. But we will be disappointed with that. Eagle will be disappointed. That was more than a half chance she had at love 15.
Yeah.
That forehand.
I think the returning from Iga is the one area of her game that I would. I mean, she's obviously not been perfect from the baseline. She's missed timing some shots and stuff, but some of these returns, I think she can do a bit better job of. Especially some second serve returns that I think she should be making.
I didn't see any of Paulina Sabalenka yesterday.
Oh, another double fault. Yikes. That's 11 now. 9 in this set. I don't know. That's what my naked eye tells me with that one, but
yeah. People were getting a bit annoyed earlier with Barbora Krejcikova and a few ball tosses.
Oh yeah, she does that thing where she tosses it up, and if it's not a good one, she'll catch it. And I know that really annoys Brad Gilbert.
Okay, but does it annoy? Has he specified her, or does he just say it in general?
No, I think in general. I think he's always had that take. Actually,
yeah, I've never really been bothered by it by an opponent when I'm playing myself.
It's just one of those things that.
I don't know if anyone's ever done it. I've never felt that someone's doing it deliberately. There's lots of other things I think that are going on a tennis court that I think are deliberate, but the ball toss, because I think you're more likely to disrupt yourself. Let's say you were doing it as a deliberate tactic. I think you're more likely to mess up your own rhythm than someone else's. But dun dun dun.
Wow. And Iga does get the break there. He gets a lot of help from Coco. 2 double faults. Backhand return. I think that game before is definitely going to be highlighted if Iga wins the match for sure. I'm sure that people are already taking screenshots of it.
Yeah.
But
if this goes 3,
I hope the double faults.
Yeah, if this goes 3 sets, she's on target for 20 plus.
Yeah. And this would of course be another one of those, I guess, wins from a set down or wins from a really desperate position. Iga's had about 4 of them this year. Obviously, there was a Naomi Roland Garros match in the second round, the most famous one where she saved the match point. The Madrid one where she saved 3 championship points.
Yeah.
And then the Daniel Collins one as well, where she was down like 2-4, love 40 in the third.
And do you remember, it wasn't that long ago, I'm going to say about 16 months ago, I remember in Madrid 2023, when she was being asked in press conferences, you know, what's going on, because you seem to win in straights, but as soon as the going gets tough, you sort of lose those sort of 3-setters, and you know, when you're down a set or down a set in a break. But she certainly reversed that trend.
Yeah, she did. Like in Wimbledon, she saved the match points against Bencic, but then didn't go on to win the next match. And kind of the same thing in the Danielle Collins one as well. Lost the next round, but
yeah.
But the Naomi one as well. I mean, she was just so relieved at the end when she won. You know, I remember she was even.
That was the French Open final in a way. No disrespect to Jasmine Paolini, but that was it. I mean, I'm not saying, and I agree with the takes that I think Naomi could have won that match and gone out in the next round. But that was the French Open, and as a fan, as an observer, I was like, okay, it sort of did go a bit flat for me as well after that. Maybe, you know, Arena was still there at that point, but when she goes out to Andreeva as well.
Yeah.
I do think Arena is getting a little bit better on that surface. I don't think she's ever been bad, but I think her variety that we've seen with her, and I think there was some quiet confidence among her team that she was going to at least make the final, Arena, this year, and that she would have given Iga more of a game in Paris than she did in Rome, for example, which is often a direct comparison in terms of conditions.
Yeah, I think I was picking her to get to the final, and I think she would have gotten there if it wasn't for the stomach illness.
Yes, I think so.
I think we would have seen something in between of Rome and Madrid if that final.
I mean, despite the illness, she was still, you know, a couple of points here or there away from winning that Andreeva match.
Yeah, I think she was up a set and a break, but not feeling well the whole time. So that I think.
But even the third set was nip and tuck, I think, to at least, did it get to maybe 3-all, and that's when it slipped away from her, something like that.
Yeah.
From memory. Mind you, a little bit of pressure here from Gauff now being applied. No one's holding comfortably at the moment, that's for sure.
Yeah.
Despite the quickness of the conditions that have been highlighted, we're seeing lots of breaks of service in this tournament. You know, it's not like Turin 2022 when Casper Ruud is holding serve comfortably.
Yeah. I think just in general, it's really hard to also control the shot on the third ball. Like if you had a really good return, like deep down the middle, then you kind of get rewarded for it in these conditions. If it's it's a good quality one.
Ooh, you lucky person there with that.
Actually, also with the issues that both these players have on absorbing pace on their forehand, sometimes it does feel like it's just the way they play and defend. It feels like they're not winning they're not going to get a ton of key points, even if they hit a good serve.
How important that net cord will turn out to be. I mean, she could have gone love 40 there.
Yeah. 15-30. I think this is another second serve as well. Yeah, second serve. Gauff trying to be more aggressive with the forehand. Oh, and she gets the error again by going down the middle. Going down the middle heavy with a lot of spin. That's been the playbook for her on the return. Like, just get the returns deep down the middle.
Yeah.
And then make Iga feel the pressure. And she's right back in this now. It's 2 break points immediately.
Just like before when she got broken. She broke back immediately.
It's actually the shorter rallies now as this match has gone on where Gauff is winning a lot more points. But the shorter rallies on return rather than the serve.
Yeah.
Oh, and this time Coco goes for a backhand slice inside out, but then Iga just doesn't really accelerate enough on the forehand and hits it in the net. So it's 4-all. And that was a very quick break of serve back.
Yeah.
Wow.
It does feel
it's
like
really hard to see where this. I have no idea how this second set is going to play out, really. Because
is this I mean, it's difficult to say, but is this the sort of what we're seeing right now and post US Open, the best that Coco's played since the US Open of last year? in terms of
Yeah.
in terms of 3, 4, 5 tournaments in a row, 3 tournaments maybe
Oh yeah,
in a row.
like definitely like the best stretch, like I guess of 3
Best
tournaments.
stretch, yeah. I
in a
don't
row,
mean
maybe.
right now in this match, but yeah, best stretch.
Yeah. I guess there was Rome and Roland Garros, but then she just ran into Iga twice.
Yeah. Oh, that return
But
from
apart from
Iga.
that, no, I don't think so.
I mean, no pun intended in terms of her outfit today, but the it's not exactly a purple patch like she had last year. But actually, in a way, this fills me with a bit more confidence, actually, in terms of her going forward. I mean, she wins this in straights. It's very different to the Cincinnati win, which, you know, when she was in that rich vein of form, but really could have gone either way.
Yeah, that was a lot closer, especially the first set. She was down a break. It seemed like it was going to be Iga again winning that set. And then Iga did win the second very comfortably. So it had a much different feel to it. Whereas this one, if she holds at love here, which she had 40 love, all of a sudden there's so much pressure on Iga to hold in the next series game. She hasn't been leading easily at all this whole match. So yeah, this time Iga gets the net cord, but it doesn't actually end up helping her out.
No, it doesn't. I mean, there was a net cord as well, I think, from Coco as well. When she reacts to the net cord, I think there was just a clip on the net as well, which may have made the lob from Iga a little more difficult.
There she goes again with that T serve on the outside. Yeah, there's a few like select patterns that I feel like Coco has done really well in this match that are like repeatable and that she could use moving forward in this matchup, even in other conditions where it's not as favorable for her. So you win a match like this.
I wonder if she's been told that and Brad hadn't mentioned it to her. I'm just trying to think how many matches between these two that Brad would have overseen. Maybe 2 or 3. Rome, definitely.
Rome, Roland Garros, and Cincinnati. I think Beijing and the WTA. Yeah, so like at least 5 actually. At least 5.
Okay. I mean, there is a win in there. He would argue. But,
yeah.
Anyway, now
she's the kind of player where like she gets a new coaching change. She changes a few things. You know, the honeymoon period is going to be good, and maybe it'll last for 3 or 4, 5 tournaments, and then maybe kind of she needs a different voice. Maybe she's just that type of player that like. You know,
maybe I do think that I would probably lean more though towards Brad being that kind of coach, if you like, and having an immediate impact by being.
That's true. That's how it was with Andy Roddick, certainly in 2003.
Yeah, I don't know how it was with Andy Murray because I know he had a spell there, and there's the impact that these guys can have, and
he helped Andy get to the top 10, and then after that, they kind of started to differ a little bit.
So, yeah.
And the same thing with Andy Roddick, they started to have their differences. But I think the Agassi one is the one that's probably the most talked about because he won 7 slams with Brad in the coaching box there.
But that's what builds your resume, right? That builds it. Because if you don't have that, you don't have the resume. But you have the resume, and that means that you can, he can turn up and coach you into winning points against Brandon Nakashima, if you like, during that hit that you're bound to have. But it can only go so far. Anyway, 4-5.
Yeah, really important game here. Okay, Iga does well on the first point. It's a nice surplus one, looking much more confident. And obviously, also, if Iga loses this match, Arena's clinched number 1 without even having to play against Rybakina.
I think that Arena would, given her pre-tournament comments about wanting to get this done on the court, I think Arena would like to get it done with a win.
She would, yeah. Either way, she stopped the group.
But I mean, she just mentioned pre-tournament that she feels as though she reversed into this number 1 just because of the way it panned out.
Yeah.
And yet we all know that 2 Grand Slams and a phenomenal year is why she's number 1. But.
Yes, and of course, if Iga finishes this group second and Arena does first, we could see them play each other in the semis.
Yeah. I mean, there won't be number 1 on the line, but yeah. But there'll be a marker for sure.
Ooh.
Because if Iga wins that match, let's say, if she finishes second and goes on to win the tournament, she'll still say, yeah, but.
Yeah, she'll say, yeah, but I won 3 of the 4 matches this year against you.
Yeah, right. Including some
If,
in
for
very
example, Iga has a good Australian
fast.
Open next year, because
Yeah,
she
but
lost in the third round and Arena won the title, then she could get it back right away as well.
yeah,
But obviously, we're thinking way too far ahead right now.
yeah.
Right now she has to worry about this.
2015, yeah.
Yeah. Okay, she gets a good body serve there. She hasn't had too many of those free points like that, where when I say
Who's
free, I mean just one shot.
Who's lasting longer? Vanch? Patrick Mouratoglou with Naomi Osaka, or Wim Fissette with Iga?
Oh, that's a good question.
I think I
I'm
know.
tempted to say Wim. I'm tempted to say
too.
Wim.
Me too. Yeah, me too. Just because I think Patrick has to have an impact pretty quickly, whereas Vim is slightly different. Especially if they are.
They have more of a long-term view, I think.
Yeah.
You guys camp in general.
And yet Vim is also well known for not having long-term coaching relationships with players. Oh, Iga there with that backhand into the net.
Yeah.
She's a few times got caught out with a high part of the net today.
She has, yeah. She's a little bit hesitant to move forward. Sometimes she'll hit that good backhand volley like we saw, and like sometimes she'll put it away, but she's not as proactive, I find, with her feet when she's moving up. When she's moving, closer to the net than she is like side to side. So sometimes that can be a vulnerable spot for her. For instance, I think we saw a lot of Ash Barty doing that in 2020 when the two matches that they played against each other, but we never got to see how that rivalry would develop because, of course, Iga would just get so much better.
Coco is 2 points away from winning the match right now.
Yes, she is. And 40-30 here, Iga has a game point. She has a backhand in the middle of the court, tries to do something with the cross court, but misses it wide. Kind of really hesitated on that one. Tried to go so close to the line. Oh, it's deuce. She's 2 points away.
I forgot about this head-to-head between Barty and Swiatek.
Yeah, it was pre-Iga becoming number one.
Yeah. Yeah, very important.
Second serve here at deuce.
Ooh, tense times.
They're trading forehands cross court. Iga goes backhand on the line. Coco goes forehand cross, but I think Iga has missed that forehand just long. So it's Coco with a match point.
Wow. How's your nerve now? Both players in a way.
Yeah.
And this is, if Coco wins this in straight, she's through.
Yeah, we've seen Iga like really trying to press in this game, trying to hit through Gauff, but it's been tough to finish points. But she makes the first serve, and then let's see what she does here on this point. I think one thing about Iga, she's always going to go for it, even match point down. She does go for it, but she misses it. And she misses the forehand down the line. And Gauff wins 6-3, 6-4.
Wow. That was, I did a pre-match poll on Twitter, and the straight sets for Coco scenario was, as you can imagine, the least. I think it got 5% of the vote. The straight sets win for Coco, but that is exactly what has happened. And Iga was vulnerable on serve from start to finish, almost. Certainly throughout that second set, there were some big holds from her at times. So yeah, wow. And now Coco Gauff against Jessica Pegula and Iga Swiatek has yet to drop a set.
Yeah, I mean, I think Coco is. I think Iga at least. She can take a few things that she did a little bit better in the second set. She took advantage of some of those double faults for sure. She managed to finally break serve. I think her return today is definitely something that she could get way better at. As for Coco, though, I'm very impressed in terms of the consistency that she had the whole time. Even when she threw in those double faults, they didn't end up costing her except for that one game, really. And just what she was doing tactically as well, with the way she was returning Iga's serve, the amount of pressure she was putting with her like kind of variation on the forehand is what I noticed. Of just like getting the ball away from Iga, like a lot of depth, a lot of power, a lot of consistency as well. Like just forcing Iga to really press and go for too much at some moments, and also taking control of some shots in the middle of the court with her backhand wing. And just, I feel like the first 6 games, Coco was the better player, but Iga was still finding a way to make it pretty competitive, and I didn't know which way it was going to go. But then Coco really started to pull away, I must say, like end of the first set, and then end of the second. She won 3 games in a row in both sets, and the second one was from a breakdown. So yeah, this was huge for Coco. I definitely think Coco needed this much more than Iga did. Obviously, Iga would be in a different position if she didn't make that comeback against Krejcikova in the first match.
Yeah.
But I'd still make Iga the favorite right now against Pegula. Just the way that Pegula has looked this whole tournament, she hasn't inspired any confidence in me whatsoever.
No, but if and the problem, of course, that Barbora Krejcikova is going to have is to face an in-form red-hot Coco. But with Coco already qualified, probably as group winner as well, I think I don't know if there's a scenario where Coco can't now top the group. Bearing in mind, even if she lost in straight sets to Barbora, I think she would still have having won her 2 matches in straight sets, I think she's pretty much guaranteed to top the group and avoid probably Aryna Sabalenka in the semi-finals, and those two will be kept apart. And the chances of a Sabalenka-Swiatek match in the semis has now increased a lot. I would still go with Iga to get through one way or another by beating Jessica and hoping that basically Coco can probably do her a favor in seeing off Barbora. But yeah, it's probably in the balance now in terms of Iga's progression in this tournament.
Yeah, I think so. And Gauff and Sabalenka have been the 2 best players, really, if you look at it since the US Open.
Oh, without it. Yeah. I mean, Kim Won-Chang might. I mean, Kim Won-Chang hasn't won a big title, but yeah, she would want.
Like right now, like this kind of level, I think if she won the title, I would not be surprised. Like just the way that she's looking right now, just the way. Yeah, Coco. Because I think she really gives Sabalenka a lot of problems from the baseline, and I don't know, just the way that Wuhan match played out, even in Australia earlier this year, where I don't think Coco was at her best. I feel like it's a matchup I definitely want to see. I think I'm excited about Coco, the potential Coco versus Aryna final now that I am maybe Iga versus Aryna semi. I'm not so sure.
I mean, Coco against Aryna Sabalenka in Australia for a set and a half was gripping. I always felt that Aryna was just slightly the better player, which is borne out by the result in a way. I mean, it was a straight sets win for Aryna in the end, but that first set could have gone either way. I mean, it was nip and tuck. I'm not even sure. Maybe Coco might have had a set point in there somewhere, but
I think it was 6-5 30 love. She served for a 7-5
right.
first
Okay,
set.
that's
Didn't
what I'm
get it.
thinking. Yeah. But I just felt even at that point, I still thought that the Aryna was slightly better. And then when it did go to a tie break, just having a quick look at the stats today. I was talking when she got, I think she was at 11 or 12 double faults. I'm seeing on the screen now 11, although I thought it hit 12. When I said if this goes 3, she's on target to hit 20 double faults. And I thought that might well have costed her. But then she didn't hit another double fault for the rest of the match from that point onwards. So a couple of aces as well there from Coco. First serve in, Iga actually did better than Coco. But the unforced errors, which over the course of just 2 sets from Iga Swiatek, 47. That does seem quite high.
It does. It wasn't necessarily the type of error she was making against Pegula, for instance, at the US Open, where she hit like 41. But, I don't know, they just felt a lot worse. These, to me, was just a byproduct of Coco's amazing defense and just kind of how pressed she was on her third shot, and just how she wasn't getting any purchase on her serve whatsoever. Like, I know she hit a lot more errors, but I think that's also just due to the matchup and just the way these both extract a lot of errors from the way they move and stuff. I think Iga will definitely be disappointed the way both sets ended. Like, I feel like the 3 games at the end of the first set and 3 games at the end of the second, she definitely really started spraying, and felt like she had to go for lines and press a bit more. There were a few moments where I definitely thought, okay, Iga can win this set, like when she was down 2-3, 15-40, and then she makes it 4-3 from there, gets the break. But she's serving. But every time it felt like she got the advantage and even got that break, it felt like she was helped a lot by Coco, either by double faults or by just staying in the rallies. Like, it was so hard for her to just get that advantage that it just didn't feel like she was going to consolidate it at any point. So that's what made it really tricky, because I just think, Gauff kind of outplayed Iga in most departments.
Yeah. That's the thing. I mean, really, she let her back into the match in certain moments with those double faults, with a couple of errors, let's say. But in terms of the way she played the match, I mean, you mentioned the Coco returns and the depth that she got. Regarding those unforced errors, we all know how stats are collated. And if I'm right, Vance, you've even collated them yourself on occasions, right? In Cincinnati, am I right? You did that?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So, but I wouldn't be, if we could grade some of those errors, though we would lean towards an unforced error 60-40, and therefore it ticks the unforced error box. There were probably quite a few that were also, 40% forced, if you know what I mean, particularly on the return to serve.
Yeah, there were so many of those. I mean, I feel like on the return as well, when Iga wasn't adjusting and kind of refused to back up behind the baseline, and she got caught several times with the body serve. It either kind of jammed her. Even on some second serve returns, I think there was some second serve returns that were just very uncharacteristic of her. Like, just you should be making them in play, like no matter what. And then there were kind of others where, like in rally, she was like maybe forced. Maybe she played some great defense initially to get into the point, but then couldn't really put it away. And then we saw the error. And maybe that's a byproduct of just how many balls Gauff was getting in the court and just how much she was forced to kind of play in those longer extended rallies. But I think actually by the end, Iga got a little bit more comfortable in those exchanges and was actually winning a few more of them in the second set. But then those shorter type of rallies where, she was having to create something from the middle of the court or just behind the baseline a little bit, just feeling like she had to go for a winner or force the issue a little bit more. That's when we saw a few more mistakes and spraying, and especially the last 3 games of each set. But I mean, I think Coco was pretty selective with her offense, but when she was, she did quite a lot of damage. It was more than just holding up. I feel like the forehand. I feel like the forehand was putting her in some good offensive positions. Like she was hitting some really good backhand down the lines in the first set. Those loopier forehands, I think, on this court, actually, which takes the spin really well because of the high altitude and everything. It's actually pretty effective, the spin and everything. So, yeah.
And a quick word on our new world number, our confirmed year-end number 1, Aryna Sabalenka. Of course, it's more than just today, which has propelled her to there, winning the 1000 recently in China. Of course, the 2 Grand Slam wins, but a consistency as well in terms of quarterfinals at the French Open, final in Madrid. Didn't even play Wimbledon at all, but due to injury. So, yeah, very impressive. Cincinnati, of course, as well, winning that title there. So, Aryna Sabalenka, it felt likely before the tournament began, but now it has been confirmed, Vanch.
It has, 22-1 since the start of Cincinnati. And,
wow.
Winning.
That one loss coming in Washington, right? I think where you were, actually.
Yeah, Washington and then Toronto to Amanda Anisimova. But since that Anisimova loss, just that one loss to Mahova in Beijing in the quarters, where she was up 4-2 in the third. But apart from that, she's been kind of like almost perfect. Like US Open, she dropped just 1 set against Alexandrova.
Yeah.
And never really looked in jeopardy afterwards. She won the Australian Open as well without dropping a set. She hasn't dropped a set so far here. And on hard courts generally throughout the whole year, she's been the best player in the world, no doubt. And she also, on clay, Madrid final, Rome final. So I think she really deserves the world number 1 this year with 2 slams, 2 1000s. Looks like she's going to win this title as well. She's the favorite to do so. Yeah, I think it's very well deserved. She was pushing for it last year as well. She came into the WTA Finals with a lead over Iga. And this year I think we go into next year. And it feels like at all the 4 majors, she's kind of the best player. Like she doesn't really have a weak one right now. Like
I mean, Clay is probably the one, but we know how Madrid is not bad for her. And I think there's a French Open title in her at some point in her career. And I do think that I always begin the year with thinking of Grand Slams. We've only seen one in my lifetime in terms of a calendar slam, I should say. It was obviously a golden one in terms of Steffi Graf. But I think, I spoke to her in Berlin in 2023. It was just after she'd lost that painful French Open semi-final to Mukova. And I do think that somewhere in these tennis players' minds, they try to play each point and they try to play each match. But she's the one, if anyone's going to do it on the tour right now, she's the one who has a chance, because Iga's just so far away at the moment, at least, in terms of winning the Australian Open, but Wimbledon in particular.
Yeah, I mean, like Arena, she's missed 2 of the last 3 Wimbledons. So that's definitely, and then the other 2 years she played it in this decade, she made the semis with a real chance of making the final and winning the title. So I'd be very surprised if she doesn't win a Wimbledon soon, because like, her game is pretty well suited to grass just in general. Like, and then for Iga, yeah, she still has a lot of work to do there. But I think for her, it's not. She's also kind of thinking long term, like by not playing so much after the U.S. Open, with this new coaching change, it's definitely a long term view to try to get better in the other surfaces and the majors. And she'd rather be at number 2 and perform better at the majors than be number 1 and rack up the 1000s and win Roland Garros. So.
I also think in terms of Iga, regarding this gap that she's now had, it might be a nice build-up for Australia. It might put her in a really good position in terms of physical situation, having taken this break between the US Open and the WTA Finals, and then obviously she'll have a training block between now and the Australian swing. But hopefully she'll have plenty of energy to propel her to have a good Australian Open run. And yeah, she has, of course, made the semis there in the past, so she has got a lot closer to winning that title in a way than she has at Wimbledon. I also think, though, in terms of this all-court, all-surface, calendar slam notion, if you like, the thing for Iga is I don't think it'll happen for either player in their career, because there's just too much competition and too many variables. But the thing for Iga, she may win a Wimbledon at some point in her career. She may win an Australian Open at some point in her career. In fact, she probably will win an Australian Open at some point in her career. But to do that all in the same year just seems to be like too much of a stretch, that she'll have an Australian Open and a Wimbledon both happening in the same year. But for Arena, I can see her winning those 2 titles next year, let's say. Why not come close? I can see she's the one getting to semi-finals and finals. I mean, 2023, if we think about it, she was she won Australia. She probably should have made both the finals of the French and Wimbledon. She was certainly in very good positions in both of those matches, especially at Roland Garros. And she was in an excellent position to win the US Open title that year in terms of being up a set, obviously, and playing so well against Coco before Coco did marvelously to come back. But listen, that is all for the future. Coming back to the present, Iga Swiatek with it all to play for still. She loses her just the second time in her career. She loses to Coco Gauff. Coco being the much better player today, 6-3, 6-4. Coco now is through to the semi-finals. She can chill out, whereas Iga will go up against, indirectly, will go up against Barbora Krejcikova, and depends on how, of course, those two do in their respective last matches to see who also qualifies from this group alongside Coco. But just want to say a big thanks to you, Vanch, for joining me today.
Yep, this was always going to be a good match to watch given the circumstances, and yeah, I guess give us a lot of talking points and things to chew on the whole time, and yeah, it was fun.
Thanks very much. I nearly called you Coco there. No, the day is all about Coco for sure, and that's what's on my mind. But yeah, big thanks for you to joining me today, and for everyone else, you know the drill. If you enjoyed this video, make sure you hit that like button. Don't forget to subscribe and click that notification bell so you don't miss out on all things tennis.